My name is John Denham. I'm a partner at Platt here in Stirling with my wife, my other half. We've been in business for just over a year, having taken over the practice in May last year. It's a 8 surgery practice. We have, at the moment, we have 6 full-time dentists and a full-time hygienist. We're taking on an extra dentist in August as part of the vocational training program, which I've been part of for a few years. It's a big concern, and obviously, using Condies accountancy has been a big part of the process of buying this place in the first place. Obviously, I came to the practice here in 1999 as an associate, and there were 2 partners. The eldest retired in 2006, and the partnership was such there that Douglas Herder became the sole owner of the business, and he was buying his ex-partner out over a period of 2 years, and we discussed going into partnership on several occasions, and of course you get to the point where time passes. Picked up an article in Dentistry Scotland. And the article was written very well, and it was a chap called Dougie Payton, who was at Condies, and he seemed to be talking really the language that we were wanting to hear, and it was pretty obvious that he knew what he was doing. So email went off to him, and initial response seemed good, and obviously passed on the information to him, and he knew, or he had the contacts locally with. One of them was Claire Berry at Halifax Bank of Scotland. She was a sort of healthcare specialist, and he knew Claire, and he'd also had a sort of relatively similar transaction with her at the same sort of time. So the contacts were made, and obviously we met up, and we started going with the initial projections. Obviously, that has taken some time. And it took us until the following May, really, before the actual sale went through. But obviously, we're now in a position, after a year in business, running a fairly sort of big affair. We've got 20-odd staff. It's a lot of work, but it's also very enjoyable at the moment. And we're in a relatively good place. When you're taking, a company like Condies on board, you don't necessarily realise what's in the background. So it's not just your accountant that you're working with. I've got Eric Smart in wages, who I deal with every month, and I can tell him, the girls, who's been off sick, how many days off sick, who's been ill, and he will obviously produce the wages at the end of the month. One of the other things that we've obviously had to get. Jennifer, my partner and wife, is the financial sort of brain behind this place. And she's had to deal with Sage, with the Sage account. So she's kind of learned how to use the Sage accountancy package. But she's had Heather Roberts at Condies to help her. So Jennifer, for instance, each month she'll get as much of the information together as she can, and then she'll have a meeting with Heather, and they'll sit through, and they'll often just be reconciling through in Condies. So it would take a couple of hours or something like that. So we're gradually learning how to run a business with people at Condies to help. As I say, it's not just been Cliff. It's actually been other people that have been involved as well. It was having somebody who knew what they were talking about, and that was very obvious. It was very obvious from the article in Dentistry Scotland that Dougie knew what he was talking about, and obviously the experience that he'd had with similar practice purchases, that was invaluable. And obviously we're now dealing with Cliff, and he's a different character altogether. But again, he's got a wealth of experience, and he's not just he's not just dealing with you; he's dealing with other people. And as dentists, we've all got the same problems. We're all funded in similar ways. There's no magic pot somewhere that somebody else is doing. And Cliff obviously knows how things work, and that's what you require. You need a little bit of realism in things, and he's quite honest with us. He wants us to succeed, and that's quite obvious when we meet up with him. And you need that. I think recently when we've had issues with the bank, we've obviously wanted to extend the borrowing a little bit, just to finish off the refurbishments that we'd done. We'd obviously overspent, as you do. The bank were really quite difficult, and it was actually nice to get Cliff on board again with that. You know, and it's a little bit of support when you go to a meeting with the bank, having the accountant there. You know, you don't feel as if it's just you against the bank. You've actually got somebody else sort of fighting your corner for you. And I think that's really where Condies have been all the way. You know, they've actually fought our corner for what has been quite a major investment for us personally. You know, and it's good to have that. They're on the phone. You know, I can phone them, I can get through to them, I can email them, you know, and I get a reply. You know, and I don't feel as if I'm waiting on, you know, on a phone call back. And that's what you need when you're in business. You can't really wait for a few days to get an answer back. You almost want an instant answer, because you're too busy getting on with the dentistry to be worrying about the sort of financial side of things. If you're looking for an accountancy, you know, we're looking at an accountancy firm here. You're not looking at for one person. You're looking at a group of people who all have obviously different skill sets, which you have access to, you know, without really any issue. Then Condies is that firm, and I think it's been a very personal service, and it's been a very competent service that we've had from Condies, and I think, you know, I wouldn't look anywhere else for an accountancy, you know, for an accountant at this stage. We've been perfectly happy with the service that we've had, and we anticipate, you know, being clients for the rest of our practicing career.